buzz right now because of the World Cup. Probably Italy and France being out is part of the talk. Matt Hamilton, author through Travel and Air, and also pretty much a world traveler.
Yep.
South Africa, though, he's from here. We call it your home away from home. You call yourself
Can-African.
Can-African.
Part Canadian, part African. Oh, yeah.
I like that.
South Africa is certainly a home away from home. I mean, I'm born and raised here in Ottawa, but in '98 I had enough, bought a one-way flight to Scotland, and said I'm going to go travel around the world. And if I like a spot, I'll stay, and if I don't, I'll move on. 6 months later, I rolled into South Africa with a plan to go from Cape Town to Cairo. Only supposed to be in South Africa for 3 weeks. 2 years later, I left. I absolutely fell in love with the people and the lifestyle and the culture and the simplicity and the beauty, and saw no reason to leave. And since then, I've been back, half a dozen times for about a total of 6 years. It's my home away from home.
Well, we really wanted you to come in today to give us some perspective, because we're hearing so much about South Africa, about the World Cup. You say the coverage has been pretty good. You're pretty happy with the coverage, not as much as you'd like to see, but the way that people are looking at South Africa, you like that.
Well, for sure. I think leading up to South Africa, to the World Cup, there was a little bit of apprehension and concern about the safety. There is a bit of a crime problem in South Africa, so I was worried that that would dominate the headlines here in North America. One person would be mugged and that would dominate it. And I haven't heard anything. And my friends in South Africa have been keeping me in the loop, and it has been going smoothly and beautifully, and the people of South Africa are so proud and so happy how their tournament has been going, and yeah, so I've been happy with what I've seen, or what I haven't seen, more importantly.
Well, let's rewind, though, 2 years ago, and in your book you say that you didn't know what to expect. Like most people, you didn't know much about South Africa.
I had no idea.
But, and you brought along some pictures, because it's not just the big city centers that we're seeing through the World Cup. South Africa, you say, is about the slower pace.
Well, and it's about the diversity. There's 11 official languages in that country. One of my favorite things is driving it. Don't fall asleep when you're in the car, because you'll wake up and you'll feel like you're in a completely different landscape. So if you're in South Africa and you're traveling, don't get on a plane. Hire a car and drive from one spot to the other. That really is a highlight. And one of the regions that really sticks out for me, if you're going between Durban and Port Elizabeth, there's a region called the Transkei. And quite honestly, it's like going back in time. Cape Town, Johannesburg, Durban, they really are first world cities. Go into the Transkei, you'll find a simplicity in the villages. There's no electricity, there's no telephones. You'll see women walking around with buckets of water on their head. The huts are made of cow dung and mud with thatched roofs. It's simple, it's beautiful, and it's probably the friendliest place I've ever been.
I love the cattle crossing sign.
Well, yeah, and it's funny, white South Africans almost are apprehensive of this region, because it does have a bad reputation, and they say, it's dangerous. And when you first arrive, you might think, well, they're talking about carjackings. Well, no, that's not what makes it dangerous. Because it is so poor, there's really not a lot of fences, and you'll find cattle in the most obscure places on the highways. You can go in 120 around a blind corner, and then there's a herd of cattle there. So that's what's kind of dangerous. But drive slow, check out the scenery, watch the scene go by, and you'll get from one spot to the other safe and sound.
Is it a world, do you think, a country that we don't know enough about?
Oh, most definitely. I thought I was fairly well educated about the world, and I'm a student of history and political science, and I was completely blown away with what I discovered. But I think that's applicable to pretty much every country you visit. Even when I come home to Canada now, I still find places that I hadn't realized. But South Africa, I think, is a spot that everybody should visit at some point in their life, because it really does give you perspective of here. It makes you really appreciative of how lucky we are in this life. And yeah, I actually think that if you do go and you come back, you'll be tempted to return and visit, because it is such a special, beautiful country.
The horns have been the big talk.
The vuvuzelas, yes.
Are you glad you're not there for them right now?
Oh, well, yeah, and it's funny, they aren't traditional in the football games. They're traditional back to the days when the tribes used to war. They're the horns of a kudu, which is this antelope with a spiral horn, and before they went into battle, they would blow these things to inspire fear. Of all the grassroots football games that I've been at in South Africa, I never once heard of Vuvuzela blown. So it's, I don't know how they caught on, but
it's a new thing.
Good luck to the entrepreneurs.
So your book, Through Travel and Air, is in bookstores now. You're also working on a second.
Working on the second one, should be out in late fall. It's untitled as of yet, unfortunately, but patience is a virtue on these things. Good things come to those who wait. Out in the fall.
I like how you give people a different perspective. It's, you know, easy to go through your travels, and you make it sound interesting. And I just like how you're saying, I'm new at this too.
Well, for sure. I mean, expect the unexpected. Being ignorant when you go out on the road and discovering these new places, that's part of the juice. And don't be afraid to do it. I mean, the hardest part about doing it is deciding to give up the comforts here and go away, and you will be amazed at what you find.
Thanks for coming back to our show. It was really nice to meet you. Good luck in your travels.
Thanks very much. It was great meeting you. Thanks for having me on.